my YouTube family. This is Dawn. I am back in the kitchen. I'm back in the kitchen, y'all. So hey, this is week 2 of our Black History Month entrees that we are putting out for you guys. That was promised. You know, as of last week was the first week, of course, of February for the Black History Month. And we put out there some oxtails, which was very, very, very good. That went very well. It was, my family killed them. Okay, gone. I actually have one oxtail left with some of the gravy, and that's in the freezer for guess who? My mama. So she's gonna be coming over to pick that up. I said, Mom, I'll just freeze you some, you know. So anyway, she's excited to get that. She said, I can make me some rice and I'm gonna eat me some, you know. So anyway, so the stew oxtails went awesome last week. So this week we are gonna make collard greens with cornmeal dumplings. All right, so you know what? This recipe also is coming again from our book that I've been getting recipes from, which is the African American Heritage Cookbook that actually came from the Tuskegee, Alabama Institute, okay, where George Washington Carver actually was one of the professors there back in the day. And there's so much history in this book, and it's funny because I love collard greens, but I've never really knew the history behind them. You know, like if you're not really a food connoisseur or, you know, a culinary chef and went to school for it and all that, you're probably not going to know a lot about the foods that you eat, you know, not unless you research. I'm sure there's people out there who research the food they eat, which is great. I know me personally, I don't, you know, I mean, I'll look at some ingredients, or I'll look at the carb count and fat calorie, you know, but just to get the history of where things are made. So this month we know that, you know, we're really focusing a little bit deeper on Black History Month, but we know that Black history is every day, okay? It's not just a month, it's every day, all your life, right? But this month we're able to really dig deeper and really appreciate this and honor our culture. And so I'm just excited to be able to be a part of this and bringing these meals to you, you know, just to kind of get a little bit more insight. I'm going to read you a little something from here. It's going to be really, really brief. I won't hold you long. We're going to dive right into just how to make these collard greens with these cornmeal dumplings. So we're going to do that. But I wanted to read you this really quickly. Basically, it's a little quick poem, and it says, collard green field forever. It says, have you ever seen a crop of collards? It is a vision of magnificence. Walking along the ordinary road in Tuskegee one day, I remembered upon a field where some industrious hand had sown the vital plant as far as the eye could see. Though the rows were disciplined, the vigorous jade leaves emanted an overwhelming energy. Here was a natural power sustaining the faded and leaning houses encircling it. Spellbound on the field's periphery, I remembered the middle passage and pictures of slave quarters at mealtime world. And so I wanted to read that because I was just blown away by that. I was like, wow. And so that actually is a poem that comes from a book called Up From Slavery, and it's all quoted here in the book. And so definitely wanted to read that and just to kind of inspire you, like, you know, man, this is the first actual industrial foods taught at this institute was agriculture of a small scale farm, which began in 1883. And so collards were actually grown for the scarcity of food that a lot of the slaves couldn't eat. So they had to plant that in order to have sustainable food. This here is just a quick picture of Washington here in his collard vineyard working there. And then there's also a picture here of, so just a little history. There's the turnip greens that field, and these are some of the students that was actually harvesting and working those greens, which these are turnips. But yeah, so I just wanted to show you this, guys, get just a little glimpse of just a little history of where our greens come from, history about things. It's like, it just gives you a different perspective, right? You know, a different appreciation for, you know, the foods that we have. So anyway, I just wanted to share that really quickly with you guys. Thank you for hanging in there with me for that little brief educational thing that I was just inspired by. I thought I would share it with you as well. So we're gonna dive right into our ingredients here, and we're gonna get started. Our ingredients is calling for 1/4 cup of bacon drippings, right? So now, I was at the store today. I just stopped by the store real quick, and I actually saw for the very first time that they have bacon grease. And I've never seen that before. I'm like, what? Bacon grease, you know? Which is like almost $7 though for like a little 16-ounce little jar of it. But I was like, that's okay. Because guess what? I got my drippings, guys. So whenever I fry bacon, I let the fat harden up a little bit, or you know how it gets cold. And I just scoop it on up and I put it right on into this little jar here. So right here, there's my bacon drippings, guys. And so basically I just only, of course, as it hardens or it gets coated, it separates. So I kind of make sure I only take the white part on top off. And so that's what this is here. So this is 1/4 actually cup of bacon fat, okay? So I have my own bacon fat, which I say homemade, right? So I got that. Also, this recipe calls for 1 onion. I'm only gonna do like a half onion. This is probably like a 1/4 of an onion. This is like a cup, you know, or say. But of course it calls for a whole onion chopped, right? But I'm going to just do this as a small onion. So I'm going to do this amount because it also calls for 3 pounds of collard greens, okay? So my collard greens is here. And what I did was, when I was in the grocery store, okay, because I want to cook quick, fast, effectively, efficient. So I bought these collards in the bag, okay? Now, you can definitely buy fresh collard greens. If you feel it's better than these, that's fine. I'm okay with these. I feel like these are in the grocery store. They're bagged, and they're fresh, and they're ready to go. They're washed already, and then they're ready to enjoy. I don't know if you've ever seen these, but these are very, very delicious. You can definitely open them and wash them again if you choose to. Some people will. I'm not gonna do that today. I'm gonna just roll with this, right? But this is only 2-pound bag, right? So because I'm using a pound less of greens, I'm gonna use all the ingredients. I'm gonna shave a little bit off, but in the description below, I'm gonna put in the full ingredients for you so that you know how to make it with 3 pounds, okay? But this is, and you make this still your own. You can season how you want to season it. You can add what you want. You can remove what you feel. But for me, I'm going to use these collards in this bag, okay? So I'll show you how to do that. Now, in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and put them back in the freezer because it's not time for them yet, okay? So now, if you want to get fresh ones, you want to clean them, you want to cut the stems off of them and all that and wash them, that's great. You could do that and just wash everything up, chop them up if you want to. You can bag it up into a baggie, and then you can freeze them and cook them whenever you're ready to cook them. Because the greens are going to go soak in water anyway. So even that they're frozen, that water that will melt will get into the water, so it's fine. Now it also asks for. The first step we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put the fat in, and we're going to go ahead and melt that down, and then we're going to go ahead and put the onions and saute the onions until they're translucent. And then after that, we're going to go ahead and add our meat, okay? So the meat is here. Now, I'll tell you another little trick that I have, which a lot of people do it, but I had cooked a ham for Christmas, okay? This is February, right? So I cooked the ham for Christmas. And instead of just throwing the bone out and just all the little scrappings, I just bagged it into a baggie and I put it in my freezer, okay? So I have this ham bone with a little fat around it and a few pieces of the ham. And I'm gonna go ahead and put this in there into our pot as my meats, okay? Because it actually calls for 1 ham hock or smoked turkey wing, right? So that's what the recipe calls for. But if you have this in your freezer and you do this, then by all means, use it, right? It also says if you don't have this, then you can also, or if you don't have, if you don't have it, then you can also fry bacon. So you can do like maybe 4 or 5 strips of bacon if you don't have this, so you may not have, but you have bacon. So go ahead and just chop that up, fry it up in the skillet the same way you would do if you got a ham hock. Okay, so it also requires water, of course. So you need to put water into your pot once you saute your onions and put your meat in, and then the water needs to cover it up and needs to boil for like about an hour. But what I'm also gonna do is I'm gonna add some chicken broth. Now this is homemade chicken broth I made as well, and I froze it because I made some other food the other day and it called for chicken broth, but I didn't have any store-bought, so I made my own, okay? So I made my own chicken broth. I have like some seasoning that I actually bought from the store that I use, and I'm not telling you have to buy this. You don't have to. You can have any kind you want to, but I like this flavor of this particular, and this is better than bouillon, okay? And this is the seasoned rotisserie chicken kind. Now, you do not have to buy this, okay? This is This is just what I prefer. If you want to buy it in a box ready to go, that's totally fine. I've done that too. There's no problem. But since I bought this, I just use it. So I just put like 2 tablespoons of this in regular water and I boil it. And then I have I do put a little bit more seasoning because I want it to be a little more saltier. And so I also have this, which you do not have to buy this either, guys. Okay, I'm just showing you things that I have. Okay, I don't want you to feel obligated to do this at all. But I also went and I also purchased this 0 salt chicken bouillon seasoning. Okay, so I bought this too, and this is kind of rare. I got to look at different. I found this at Vons. Not sure. I'm sure it's probably in other stores, but this is where I found it here. So anyway, and I add a little of this in there as well, so I can make it, you know, very flavorful. And so that is that's how I make my chicken broth. Definitely, if you have any chicken that you have, you know, that you baked or anything, or that you boiled, then you can definitely just save that. And you can also use that as your chicken broth, right? Okay, so that's what I'm gonna do here. So I'm gonna go ahead and add this into into my pot when it's time to do that. And then I'm going to also add, this is about 4 cups of, and this water is warm. I probably will make it a little bit warmer because I want it, since it's going to be hot, I want to make sure I'm pouring in hot water so that it will continue to cook and not slow down the cook, because if I put cold water in, okay? So yeah, so at this point, that's what we're going to do. So we're going to go ahead and just get that going, and then we'll move on to the next step. So now we're going to go ahead and prepare our pot here. So this is going to go on like a medium high heat, and just to get it hot, so we're going to go ahead and add the fat here, bacon fat, into the skillet. Get that all melted down. It's melting fast. Okay, so that's melted very good for that. So get that melted. And you know, if you don't have any, like I said, if you don't have bacon drippings, then you can just fry some bacon and then just, you know, let it cook till it's like translucent, till it's like almost, well, I guess you can see through the bacon. You can remove it, and then you'll have your fatting, your bacon fat. Melt it down. So now go ahead and add the onions in here. And it's just, as far as the seasoned salt, is just gonna it asks for seasoned salt, and it also asks for garlic powder and pepper. So we'll add that a little later. Okay, so that's kind of melted there. We're gonna go ahead and just add our onions. Okay. And I'm gonna get a non-scratch, use like maybe like a wooden spoon for this. And so we're just gonna get this mixed up here. And then we're gonna cook this down until it's translucent. And then we'll be ready to add our meat and water and chicken broth. Okay, so apparently, guys, sorry about that. I was not recording when I did all this, but I'll just tell you what I did. So basically, I had my seasons in the cup here, and I guess I didn't record that, but what I had in here was 2 teaspoons of sugar, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, and it called for 2 teaspoons of seasoning salt, but I chose to put 1 teaspoon of Slap Your Mama. And then it also asked for 1/4 teaspoon of crushed peppers, and I put just like a pinch of it in here because I don't want this to be too spicy. Now, if you want spicy, then you make it spicy, right? You season this however you want to season. I just put in here what the recipe called for, and then I layered it. So I put a layer of greens, I sprinkled some season, then I put another layer on top here, and then I'll season with the rest, okay? I also took off some of the meat off the bone before I did all that. And the bone is sitting back there. I took some of the meat off of it and took the bone out. out of the actual broth. And so it's on a simmer now, and it's simmered, of course, for another hour with the bone. And then I did this part here. Okay, so just to let you know, I apologize that you didn't see the step-by-step for that. I thought I was recording, but I wasn't. So here we go. So now at this point, season's in, greens are there. I'm gonna leave this on top like so, and I'm gonna just go ahead and close it. And then you're gonna let it cook on a low fire, on a simmer, still let it simmer for another 30 to 45 minutes, okay? So that's that part, right? So we'll check it, and if we'll taste it, and if we need some more season, then we'll add more season to it, okay? So yeah, now we're gonna move on to the cornmeal dumplings. Okay, so now we're gonna get started with the cornmeal dumplings, okay? So at this point, the first thing you need to do, these are all the ingredients here, you can see them. So I have my bowl here. So the first thing you're gonna do is calls for 1 cup of cornmeal, okay? You can use white cornmeal, you can use yellow cornmeal. I'm using white, that's what I have here. And then it also, and after this, that's in a bowl. Then you're gonna sift in 1/4 cup of flour, all-purpose flour. You're gonna put in 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and you're gonna put in 1/2 teaspoon of salt, okay? And this needs to be sifted into the cornmeal here, okay? So we'll just do that. And then we'll go ahead and just fry. I just kind of put all of that in this one little cup here. And then so that's sifted in there now, okay? That is done. Okay, and then we're going to incorporate that in here. I'm gonna use my little whisk for that. And then we'll just mix them up here. And then we'll blend it together. Make sure it's incorporated into the cornmeal, okay? Then you're going to, so now it's called for the 2 eggs, okay? So we're gonna beat these 2 eggs. So go ahead and beat the 2 eggs. So we're gonna go and do that. Let's crack, okay? And crack, here, okay? And then we have a fork here. So we're gonna go ahead and just, it just says beat it. So just kind of beat the eggs. And then we're gonna combine them into the cornmeal mixture. It doesn't say light, I know it just says beat eggs. So we're gonna beat the eggs here. Okay, and then we're gonna just pour them into the mixer here, mixture. Okay, so that's that. I'll keep my fork, and then we're going to add the milk. Okay, so the milk is calling for 1/2 cup of milk. Okay, so you have a 1/2 cup of milk here. And so we're gonna add the cup of milk. And then it also calls for 1 tablespoon of melted bacon drippings. Okay, so I went on and got a tablespoon of this, and I melted it in the microwave, so we're gonna add that to it as well. Okay, so we added that. All right, so that's there. And then we're gonna go ahead and just gonna use a large spoon. Okay, so that's okay. So now we're gonna just mix all this together. Okay, so we're gonna incorporate it. Just mix it up here. You should have like a kind of grainy type of mixture here. Okay, so then just mix it up, make sure it's all incorporated. And then of course this is gonna be added into the greens. Once the greens are done, then that's about 20 minutes before they're done. I'm actually there's different ways that you can do this. I actually saw a way that I prefer to do this, because typically you'll just spoon it out and then you'll just put it on top of the greens and cover it up and just steam it, like cook it for the last 20 minutes of your greens, or just for like 20 minutes or so. And then, so basically this is the consistency that you should see, okay? And then all you'll do is just kind of get a spoon, scoop it out, you know, how big or small you want them. And then you just lay them on top of the greens and you'll cover it up. Just make sure it's kind of sitting on top of the greens, not so much deep down into greens, but so yeah, I think I'm just gonna put them on. I'm just gonna make it how the recipe calls. I mean, I like I said, people do it differently. So basically it's just saying, you know, just to use a large spoon, and then it just says drop the batter onto the greens, you know, so you can just do that, and then it just cover it tightly and simmer for 5 to 10 minutes, or until done, and then you just serve it immediately. So that's pretty much the dumplings. That's all you need here. So I'm gonna go ahead and cover this up with some saran wrap a little bit, since the greens are not quite ready yet. And then I'm gonna pull this out when it's time to add it, and then I'll show you that step, okay? All right, I wanted to come and show you guys this. So these are greens here, after, you know, once we put them in with the season and everything. So they've been boiling for about 45 minutes now. And so at this point now we're gonna reduce the heat. We're going to cover it up and we're gonna cook it for another 30 minutes, okay? Or until they're done. So, and at this point I'm going to taste them to see, you know, if they're seasoned good, if it's tender, you know, how's that coming along. But they're looking good. They're looking good. The greens are looking good. And so we're making progress. So the next step will be to put in the dumplings. Okay, everybody, we are back, and the greens are still cooking, but they're pretty much done. So what we're gonna do now is I went on and kind of took it upon myself to pull out the dough of dumplings that I had made and put in the refrigerator. And I went on and just kind of made, just for the sake of time, I went on and just made these little round little dough here so that we can, for the dumplings. And I also added a little green onion in there. I just wanted to kind of give it some little color, give it a little, you know, a little more taste to it. I didn't add any pepper in it, but I'm not going to add. But you can add salt and pepper. You can season these as you like. But this is just how I made them for now. So at this point, these are ready to go on the top of the greens here. I'm going to go ahead and just put them on top. I know I said earlier I would probably take the greens out, but I'm not going to do all that. Just for sake of time, I'm going to go ahead and just lay them on top. And then we're going to go ahead and get it going, okay? So let's go. So basically the steam and what this has been, so of course the juice is actually what they call pot liquor, okay? So this is a southern dish here, and so this is my, you know, my first time making this dish. It looks delicious. See, it's nice and bubbling. The greens are tender now and they're done. I also added a little garlic in here as well. I wanted to add just a little more flavor as well, okay? So now at this point, all you'll do is just go ahead and just set them into on top of the green, and you want to make sure that they are kind of setting into the pot liquor, what they call it there. So we're going to set that in here, and then it doesn't have to cover them per se, but just as long as it's sitting in there so that it can also get cooked. So I'm going to set them down like that, right on top of the greens. Okay, I'm going to make sure they all fit in here. So I'm working with a little pot here. Okay, squeeze one more right here. We'll just set that right there. Okay. So basically that's how you do it. So you just set them in here, and now what you want to do is keep the fire as it is. You may want to see, I have it kind of like on a medium high. So I'm gonna turn that fire down just a little bit, but you do want to keep it high because you want the steam to keep coming up so that you can cook the dumpling, okay? So you'll go ahead and just cover it, and then you'll go ahead and just cook this for about another 10 minutes. And once they're cooked about 10 minutes, everything will be done, okay? So then I'll bring you guys back, we'll plate it, and then we'll taste it and let you guys know how it tastes. All right. Okay guys, we are back, and the dumplings have cooked on top of the greens for about a good 15 minutes. So now we're gonna reveal it, and let's see what's going on here. They look good. So they should be nice and done now, and you can kind of feel if they're done by they're a little firmer here. Okay, so this is what they look like. Okay, And so we're gonna go ahead and reduce this, turn off the fire. Well, we'll just, it's on low actually right now, so it still simmers. I'm gonna let it continue to simmer. So basically you're just gonna go ahead and let's take some out now. I'm gonna go ahead and plate it or bowl it. Let's just put some greens in here. I want to get some of the juice as well. You want some of the juice, or what they call pot liquor. So I'm gonna go ahead and put me a dumpling on here. Yeah, it's done. And then I'm gonna get some of the juice, or some of the pot liquor. I gotta remember that. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to give me another little spoon. Spoon it out, that's not enough to spoon. Well, actually, I had took some of this out, so I'm gonna go ahead and just pour this back in there. And then I'm gonna use this bowl to kind of take some out. Okay, so then we'll just pour it in. You're supposed to pour the pot liquor in here. So then I can go ahead and try it. Okay. So there is the dumpling with the greens. And I actually want to find me a piece of meat as well in here. So let me see if I can get me a piece of meat out of here too. If not, it's okay. I'm just, yeah, here's a little piece. Here's some meat. So there's some of the ham. And for those who don't want ham, don't eat pork, you can use some type of chicken meat or something like that. Okay. So there we go. All right, so there we go. And so now we're gonna go. Okay, so here we are. So this is the greens with the cornmeal dumpling. So let's try it. It's very hot. Oh my goodness, so hot. Let me scoop it out. Take a little piece of the dumpling. So here's the dumpling. Some greens, and then I'll actually, nice and done. Take a little piece of the ham. Okay, let's see here. Here we go. The ham may not stay on there, but okay. Okay, so I'm about to blow this because it's gonna be hot. Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, this is good. It tastes like hot water cornbread, because it's basically like, some people, they call it cornbread as well. Oh my gosh, this is good. Wow. And then just with the pot liquor, pot liquor that's soaked into the dumpling as well. Oh my goodness, it is delicious. Wow. Okay. Definitely is a try here, guys. You gotta try this. You gotta make this if you like greens. It's very high in nutrients as well. Wow, it's delicious. Nice and flavorful. You can definitely season how you like it to be seasoned. You can add any ingredients you want to. Wow, this is good. So, wow. That's it right there. That cornmeal taste. Oh my gosh, it's so good. Well, here you are, guys. This is your collard greens with your cornmeal dumpling. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm joining our family first, and we are super excited that you are tuning in. I hope that you will come back and join us again. Please go ahead and share love with food, and make sure to like, subscribe, comment, and make sure you share this video with someone else. Enjoy. Thanks for joining our family hashtag, What in God's Delicious Name. Have a great evening.